All right, welcome to Agency Rise, the podcast where digital marketing agencies rise together. I'm your host, Chris Rudolph, and I've spent over a decade coaching digital agency founders, helping them scale, systemize operations, and break free from the day-to-day grind. On this podcast, we talk about what really moves the needle for agencies, getting clients, building a team, creating systems, pricing, positioning, focus, and freedom. No hype here, no guru nonsense, just real conversations from the agency trenches. So today's guest is Mark Herre, the founder of SEO Game, an almost 30-year-old performance-based SEO partner to digital agencies. So Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. Nice introduction. You got my name right perfectly.
Awesome. For those of you who might be not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about you and your agency.
Yeah, well, agency SEO Game has been around since 1996. It started out as a white label SEO company. It was in formation from my second company that I had, which was an ISP, internet service provider. I had a partnership involvement with running and fixing fax machines, running around as a part owner to kind of like drum up business and get everyone on that lightning dial up speed in the 90s. And so I started SEO Game out of a technology firm.
Wow, that's amazing. So why did you start it in the first place?
Well, SEO Game was something that I was very interested in because SEO was highly talked about in around 95, 96. And I had clients already that were digital marketing agencies as a technology owner. And so I was interested in helping them with the technology I had. And like right out of the gate, I became a vendor for digital agencies and web designers. I pretty much have fast forward 30 years because this year is an anniversary of 30 years of doing
Wow.
SEO for SEO companies.
Yeah, I'm guessing you've probably seen a few things change in SEO in that time, huh?
That's the exact opposite I was about to share with you, Chris. Nothing has changed in 30 years. And I love to explain and dive into that, but that might surprise anyone who's listening to this podcast, that in 30 years for SEO as a white label provider, nothing has changed.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Let's dive into that a little bit. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So, for instance, as a vendor for digital marketing agencies, they always rely on a vendor. Whether they tell you they do or they don't, they're kidding themselves if they say they don't do anything outsourced. I've been an outsourced partner for digital agencies to offer what I call rank delivery services. Rank delivery services is what they've always wanted their vendor to do: get the rankings of the website, number one. And in the way that I've always positioned myself with digital agencies all these decades is that I help them with a trial, a 30-day period. One thing I've always found out is digital agencies love this model for their vendor. Somebody who's going to put their money where their mouth is and get the job done, get the rankings number one so that they can get their affairs in order and then close deals better and then use SEO as a lead magnet to go in and get quick wins with SEO. And then what digital agencies have always been about is that they've always been looking for lifetime clients. And a lifetime client is a digital agency going after one of the categories I call lifetime clients, like the bricks and mortar companies. You have your med spas, your lawyers, your dentists, your chiropractors. There's a lot of lifetime clients. And then there's the home services of your roofer, your plumber, your HVAC, flooring, kitchen and bathroom remodeling. And all of these models are lifetime clients for digital agencies. And they need those as, to get quick wins, number one rankings. And so with my 30-day trial and my pricing is the last thing I wanted to share, that has not changed either. So I've always had a flat rate fee of a 30-day trial performance-based model, no rank, no pay. And digital agencies always tell me, don't raise your rates or I won't be able to charge $500 or $1,000 a month for SEO. And then they can skim and make 70% margins. And then as long as they're helping the owners of businesses with websites like the ones I just described, they're going to have a lifetime clients that will never leave until the business owner either sells their business, dies, or retires. So a lot of little details in that, but that's been my model going forward. in 2026. There's a lot of new things that are really, really exciting about helping digital agencies with their lifetime clients.
I love that. And what are some people or sources that you go to stay up to date on like all the changes that are going on in SEO over the years?
Right now, first of all, there's a lot of sources about AI searches and getting listed in those and getting traffic from those. It's still a very small percentage. So I just would say that I don't dwell or focus on that too much with digital agencies other than I solve the problem of FOMO, fear of missing out. And I help them with the idea that we're going to increase GA4 traffic. But right now, that's that's a small little factor because the roofer, the plumber, the HVACs are really not caring where the traffic comes from. So if we gave the roofer, the plumber, the HVAC, the lawyer, the dentist, the orthodontist, the chiropractor, all these great ideas of what we're doing for AI searches, they're just going to go, ho hum, just get me more phone calls and web traffic. I care about attribution. How do you keep me number one rankings? So the reporting is going to be really based in heat maps. So anyone can get a number one ranking. And so right now, I really am focused in all of the videos out there towards heat maps. And I get all of my information just basically on YouTube. And I find a new way to break the proximity code and fact filter in a different area and get a wider range of traffic in using heat map and reporting on where we were 30 days to where we are now for that website. That's a game changer. And so I guess to answer your question, it's just about the strategy of getting a number one ranking, then converting and transitioning that client into a heat map strategy, and then learning how to break proximity filters in certain areas where it's more condensed and popular and is going to get more phone calls and web traffic.
I love that. I think you bring up a really good point of when you were mentioning like the HVAC and the plumbers, like as a digital agency, not just focusing in on all the marketing and the jargon and the new and shiny things that we as marketers dive into, but like ultimately, what does the ultimate client want and really understand? I think that's a really valuable thing that you brought up as far as like you can have the talk about the newest, the fanciest, the really in-depth marketing strategies, but that might not matter to the end client. You need to take those complex things and put it into terms that they understand and really care about. So I love how you did that.
Interesting you said that. And then just to cap on that, the things that have not changed in 30 years is business owners with websites. They have never really cared about our checklists of all the really fancy things that we're doing, all the busy work, all the reporting and they care sometimes in a way that they just want to make sure we're doing stuff. The only time they really, really care is when things aren't working very good and they're not getting a lot of attribution for being number one ranking. What they do care about is saying, here's why you're number one, and here are the attributions of a Google Business Analytic report, and these monthly Google Business. As a primary owner of a business, if I owned a website and I saw a flat line of no improvement in phone calls for 2 or 3 months, no improvement of web traffic or keywords index or directions searched, something's wrong. If the digital agency is trying to tell you that all this great thing is happening with all this busy work and you have a flat line of no increase in phone calls and web traffic and GA4 can't be accountable for that either. Yeah, the owners of these websites are going to kind of cry, why am I paying you all a little bit? Why am I paying you all this money if I'm not getting attribution? And so I like to help digital agencies story brand the month. I have 7 deliverables and I want those monthly deliverables to really focus in on just why we do SEO. We attribute number one rankings for these keywords. Yes, you're number one, but this is how we improve phone calls and web traffic. That's all the owners of these websites really care about.
That's good. I like how you build that in on a ongoing basis. Sometimes the only times that agencies do that is like when they're doing the initial like sales pitch or like the presentation or the proposal. So I really, really like that. Mark, what are a few trends that you're leaning into here in the coming year?
All I can say is back to heat maps. Yes, is it a reporting tool at Local Dominator that's costing me the thousands of dollars a month for reporting for all the hundreds of websites that are now demanding that they get more phone calls and web traffic? Because I told them in 2025 we're gonna transition you into an agency analytics platform, which we'll still keep. But now we're adding, and now I'm trying to adjust. Well, is my $300 a month per company website enough to cover it, because now this new expense of local dominant, and I can't think of that going away. So the only thing I can think of is do I have to charge a more monthly fee, because I've been at 300 a month for a month for 30 years, and so now I'm thinking, wow, um, the dollar isn't stretching as long as with all the work order and all that. So that's really, I'm gonna always just kind of just go back to heat maps. Heat maps is really the only thing that makes phone calls ring and get more traffic to people's websites that equal leads. And then, of course, the three-legged stool approach has always been what any digital agency has. In fact, every time I bring up a three-legged stool approach to a digital agency in a discovery call, they go, that's what I say. I have a three-legged stool approach. What is a three-legged stool approach? It might look like this. You take a look at their Google business profile, you fix content on the website, and then you also focus on citations and off-page link building, which is citations. And those things really move the needle in SEO. But we're growing a fourth leg, a three-legged stool. If I were to sit, I could easily sit on a three-legged stool. Everyone can. But if you take your hand and you go underneath your chair and your stool, you're going to feel a nubbin, and that nubbin is that new leg that's growing, that AI search with those LLM models, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. We are accounting for the rankings to improve, not rankings, but the visibility to improve in those searches. You have Comet, and you have Atlas, and other sources where these are coming into the website. Now, is it at like 0.5% or 1% of the overall traffic? Yeah, it's really low, but we know it's going to get better, and we know the conversion's better. So we're going to continue to find new ways to bring in traffic.
Yeah, that's good. How do you manage agency expectations with client reality when ranking slows down?
It's not that the ranking slows down, it's the traffic slows down from people not using Google as much as they used to. So that's not a lot of people's go-to anymore. And they're not, but there's still traditional search, and it works great for, like I said, digital marketing agencies that are understanding that as long as they stay number one ranking, they have and so my job as a white label SEO is not so much to get into the ins and outs of traffic, but it's to keep number one rankings and then focus on heat map strategy, and then talk to them about, well, we also send, well, you don't know, but we send a zip file of about 10 screenshots of ChatGPT, Gemini, where they're ranking, and just say, look, they're listed here, but still people have to search for those keywords and still, or those semantic searches. And then they still have to click on links like at ChatGPT. They still have to click on it to get to the website, but we know the conversion rate's a lot better. And we know that that's going to continue. I hope I answered that question right, Chris.
Yeah, no, that's good. On behind the curtain, in running your own agency, what are some software or tools that you don't live without, like that you really need?
Well, first off, it's a lot of common sense when we're establishing what keywords that are going to generate the most traffic. And it used to be heavy dependent on SEMrush, but it's not. I used that as a crutch for years and years. I had a subscription for that, and I just cut it out because I get the same data from agency analytics anyway. So I couldn't that dashboard is important to me. For all the clients, everyone who works with me, that's they're going to get a complementary account in agency analytics, which is using SEMrush data. And then local dominator. Local dominator is just the tracking tool. And those are my two go-to. Those are just basically all I work with.
Okay. And do you have any daily habits or routines that you swear by?
Have a hobby. Just before our appointment here started, and I think it's almost, well, it's 11:30 now a.m. mountain time. And I got busy just writing and posting things that are completely unrelated to my industry. That will help me with my next appointments, my emergency dentist appointment in 1 hour. Those are just things I just, I've been working from the basement for 30 years. And so I just find myself just loving little hobbies like that. Anytime in between my appointments and discovery calls, I just get excited about, the Facebook groups that I started for travel. And I just keep that as a hobby. Get yourself a Facebook group and grow it. I have 5 of them, and I just, my smallest is 10,000 people, and they're just hobbies. So I just like to just have a hobby. And so get yourself a hobby that you don't get
Yeah.
burned out on. And,
That's really good because I think sometimes like you can live the job, like and with digital, like it can be 24/7. And yeah, that's good as far as building in just have a hobby. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
a lot
So
of
I'm
people don't
curious.
have time for hobbies, but
Yeah,
I wake up at 5 in the morning starting I write, and then I go to the gym, and then I read what I write in the sauna, and I just love hobbies. I love writing my own writing. I don't know if I think I'm my biggest writing is a good hobby that if you're
good.
gonna write books and things like that. So that's what I
It's good. So, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to all the founders out there listening to this? Because I mean, you've got 30 years of experience. What's one piece of advice?
I would say my best advice was when somebody at HR Bamboo, which is a large traded company now, I knew the owner before he started the company, which is now a publicly traded company. And he said, Mark, what you need to do, because you are good at SEO. So early in just at the turn of 2001, I worked with him, and he just said, Mark, why don't you just get yourself a subchapter S? Here's my lawyer. If you make any money, he'll charge you some money. He's good to work with. You need a lawyer. You need an accountant, not a lawyer. He just said, I'll help you with the forms. And I said, this is easy. I could have done this without your help. But he just compiled the subchapter S forms for me. I would say anyone needs to just do that. Just get a subchapter and just have it available. If you're going to run a digital agency or you're thinking about one, just do it. And then you become a contractor. You can work with the same kind of pay and just, that's all I say. Cause I get a lot of people all the time wanting me to put them on a payroll like normal people do. And I say, if you're a 1099 person, I could actually use you. But if you're not, I can't.
That's good. That's good. And if our audience wants to learn more about you and your agency, where's the best place to find you online?
Yeah, SEO Game is the name of my company, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Mark Herre, Herre. And yeah, it was great to talk to you about my white label SEO services and how I help digital agencies grow and scale their business.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for coming on the podcast today. And for everyone tuning in at the gym, in your car, or at your desk, thank you for joining us. And if this episode was helpful for you, be sure to subscribe and be sure to share it with another agency founder who you think needs to hear it. Because agencies don't rise alone, they rise together. This is Agency Rise.